Hey everyone, I'm Sam, one of Jojo Boy's narrators, and today I'll be covering some more trivia about CHARA. This will be a follow-up to the video Who is the True Villain of Undertale, so I recommend checking that out first, or this video might not make a lot of sense. A lot of you had some questions about it, so hopefully this video will clear some things up for you. Before we start, I'd just like to give a huge shout out to Amino Apps. As I'm sure some of you know, they create fan-based themed apps for fans to interact with fans. They even have an Undertale app that is perfect for you to meet new people in the fanbase and share your love for the game. Its user-friendly platform allows you to share anything from fan art, cosplays, theories, roleplays, links to remixes and let's plays, and even just share thoughts on the game. It's on mobile so you can take it with you wherever you go, and always keep up to date with the latest word from the fanbase. And hey, it's completely free. Check out the links to download in the description. Now onto the video. While the last video covered the basic idea of passive or kind CHARA, today I'll be delving a little deeper into the lore of the game that makes the idea so rounded. One of the most common questions we got regarding the video was why Asriel says that CHARA wasn't the greatest person at the end of a pacifist run, and this line is important to talk about because it is often misread to say something different than what it means. Asriel says CHARA wasn't the greatest person. He never says they weren't a good one. As an example, at the end of a pacifist route, if you help Monster Kid during the game, they will say that Undyne was actually kind of a jerk, and that they just over-idolized her too much. But we all know for a fact that Undyne was just doing her best for her people, right? So she's not actually a bad person, she just made some mistakes while working towards a good cause. So why can't the same be said about CHARA? When Asriel says CHARA wasn't the greatest person, he isn't calling them bad. He's saying what he means. They weren't the greatest. For a long time, Asriel looked up to CHARA as a sibling, as a friend, and as the hope for humans and monsters. And in this mindset, it was hard for him to imagine that they could do anything wrong. So when he realizes at the end of the game that their plan with the humans was less than perfect, he realizes that they were too. However, this doesn't mean CHARA is evil or anything, just that they did bad things, like every character in the game does at some point, even Asriel. Also, after the credits, you'll see Flowey approach and talk to CHARA about how he realizes they were there all along, helping Frisk to stop Flowey from abusing his power on the world. Everyone can be a good person if they just try, and CHARA tried. Asriel goes on to talk about how CHARA wanted to use their fusion's full power on the humans. As mentioned in the last video, CHARA only wants this after the humans attack Asriel, and killing them would have been the only way for CHARA and Asriel to survive, and for monsters to be free. Of course killing them was wrong, and Asriel made the right choice to refuse it, but that doesn't mean CHARA is bad for wanting to do it. Sometimes good people do bad things for good reasons. CHARA just wanted to save monsters, and would do whatever it took to help their family. That, along with their negative feelings towards humans due to their past bad experiences with them, may have filled them with a desire for revenge, but they only acted upon this once humans had already attacked. They were just trying to show Asriel the truth behind humans, that they attack and hate things they don't understand, or even try to understand. Sound familiar, fanbase? Some people brought up that CHARA may have wanted to reignite the human-monster war by breaking the barrier. However, CHARA knew that monsters were much weaker than humans and would most likely lose against humans if another war were to start. The monsters could have used the human souls obtained from the surface to their advantage, but these would have likely rebelled, just like during Omega Flowey's fight, so that wouldn't have worked either. So most evidence points to CHARA simply wanting to help their family, and why wouldn't they? They loved them and gave them a home after a bad life with humans after all. While we're on the subject of Asriel, he also says that he thought of Frisk as the friend he wished he always had, but it's worth noting that Frisk had the ability to reset and fix any mistakes they made due to us increasing their determination, while CHARA did not, making them look worse by comparison. Flowey and Asriel are able to recognize Frisk as CHARA during a pacifist run, which shows that he believes CHARA is capable of good. He recognizes them sooner in a No Mercy run, but this is because he is looking for someone who feels the same as him, empty inside and unable to care about people. He projects this onto CHARA, believing they are soulless, when really, the actions in the No Mercy run are that of the player. Flowey's perception of CHARA in this run is more to do with Flowey's desires, rather than how CHARA actually was. There's a lot of emphasis on Flowey wanting CHARA to learn something, kill or be killed, during a pacifist run, that they do learn in a No Mercy, showing again that Flowey didn't think of CHARA as malicious during their life. Another popular question was in regards to the fact that humans cannot absorb monster souls, hence the point made in the previous video about how if CHARA wanted to go to the surface just to kill humans, they could have easily just killed one of the dreamers and taken their soul to cross the barrier. But this wouldn't mean anything if humans couldn't absorb monster souls. However, it is addressed clearly in the game that while humans cannot absorb monster souls, they can absorb boss monster souls, as these persist after death for a few seconds. The only souls we see do this are Asgore's and Toriel's, meaning they are boss monsters, and Azrael is too. So if CHARA seriously just wanted to cross the barrier to go on a murderous rampage, they would have just killed a dreamer, but instead, they killed themselves, and very painfully. The reason for doing this may have also had to do with the theme of justice, and how they may have thought badly of themselves after the mistake with Asgore. There were also some questions about the idea of the laughter being used to cope with pain concept, and how it might not necessarily have applied to CHARA, but there are dozens of hints towards this concept in the game, and they wouldn't have been included if they didn't mean something. Almost every main character uses smiling, laughter, or joking to hide pain at some point in the game. Here's a little clip from the last video that explores some of the many instances of this. Toriel laughs when you kill her. Sans tells jokes despite being depressed. The villagers in Snowdin laugh away their sorrows. Snowdrake's father describes his sad life, laughs, and then says, "That's not funny." Laughing at Snowdrake's mother's amalgamate prompts the narration from CHARA, "You laugh and keep laughing. It's so funny, you can't stop. Tears run down your face." What? You didn't do that? If you laugh again, CHARA says, "But it's not funny." Heckling the amalgamate yields the narration, "You look horrible. Why are you even alive?" What? You didn't say that? Checking the Royal Guards in the No Mercy run directly references a Japanese novel about adoptive family and suicide. The passage reads, "I see two lovers staring over the edge of the cauldron of hell. Do they both wish for death? That means their love will end in hell." I couldn't stop laughing. Azrael also laughs when he's about to die. Mettaton explicitly says, "My poor love, I'm so filled with grief, I can't stop laughing," after laughing about Frisk almost dying. Even Undyne laughs when her body is slowly fading away after being cut in half. Also, check out my gospel. They have countless references to putting on a lighthearted exterior so people won't worry about them, and talk about being alone and scared of someone coming. They're a mime after all. They literally mimic CHARA. Why would Toby put in all these hints to CHARA being good, or at least neutral, if it didn't mean anything? No character in Undertale can be simplified to a 2D representation of a personality. There's always something more to them. And if you just look a little deeper, you'll see so much more to CHARA, too. Something I feel is important to address is CHARA's actions in the No Mercy run, as this is where much of the misconception about their personality comes from. While there's no doubt that CHARA becomes a little more malevolent in this run, there's a very good reason for that, and that reason is love. Love is a concept that is discussed by Sans during your judgments, and he talks about how the more love you gain, the easier it is for you to kill. It is a substance that numbs you to killing and takes away the pain of doing it. And CHARA's name is on the stats menu, meaning that CHARA is the one who gains the love we get from killing monsters. This is also why they refer to themselves as the feeling you get when a number increases, not because they are love itself, but because we are feeding love to them every single time we kill. This is why CHARA is able to say things like, "Forgettable, looks like free EXP, and not worth talking to." They never say these things during a pacifist run. It is only ever when they have gained a significant amount of love. Therefore, these statements do not represent their true personality or feelings. And you may be wondering, how come they don't say these things during a neutral run? They gain love in those runs too, right? Well, yes, but there's a very clear difference between a neutral and a No Mercy run. In a neutral run, you don't kill all the monsters, while in No Mercy, you devote yourself to killing every single one in every single area. This is what convinces CHARA that their only purpose of being alive is to kill. They talk about how it was your influence that made them believe power was the only reason they were alive, and if you don't fully devote yourself to that idea too, neither will they. Hence why the only change in CHARA's personality during neutral runs is that they become pessimistic, not violent. This leads into CHARA's thoughts of our actions during these runs. I think it's important to remember that Chara is only a child, possibly around just 10 years old, and children are very impressionable to certain behaviors. Chara's life has been especially full of death and cruelty, so they may be more numb to the concept than others, and being forced to witness the death of all their loved ones firsthand probably didn't help with this. This is why they don't reach out to stop you directly during the No Mercy run. A, because they don't have the power, love, necessary to do so until the very end of the run. B, because they don't have a choice in what you do initially. And C, because they are numb to the ideas of death, meaning it affects them less. However, while they may be able to cope with it, that doesn't mean they agree with it. They are very vocal about the fact that they are disgusted with you when they realize you were just killing for fun, and not for any form of power like you said and told them. They also become quiet during the fights with Asgore, Toriel, and Undyne, especially when those people become hurt. Other characters tend to become quiet during times of emotional strain. As a prominent example, Toriel is absolutely silent for the majority of your fight with her due to her unwillingness to fight someone she cares about, and Chara is very similar to Toriel in a lot of ways. The same silence goes for Asgore's fight and multiple characters when they are struck or hurt. Chara even gets excited when Undyne appears in No Mercy, possibly because they believe there is a chance she'll be able to stop you. Chara is strongly hinted to look up to and admire Undyne, most likely because Undyne is viewed as the hero of monsters, just like Chara was meant to be. They both share a distaste for humans and do some questionable things for the sake of monster freedom, but overall, just want to help. This also connects to some doubts people may have about Chara being the narrator in all runs, but the narrator still says the same things in all the runs, only a small amount changes. This makes it very unlikely that the narrator is different people. There are also some questions about whether Chara was just the red text narration, but even in white text, they are shown saying "it's me, Chara." Red and yellow text is used by monsters to express deep emotion, like when Toriel and Papyrus talk about Asgore, so it is more a signifier of intensity rather than the person speaking. This also explains why Chara's text turns red in their previous homes, showing their deep emotion towards their family. This also shows that they do in fact feel things, despite having a shared soul. Many may disregard the narrative Chara theory on account of it only being a theory and never being explicitly stated in the game or by Toby himself, but honestly, there's a lot in the game that isn't explicitly stated, but most of the fanbase still believes. For example, no one ever said Gaster was a skeleton, he just kinda looks like one, so in that respect, it's still a theory. No one ever said Gaster was related to Sans and Papyrus in some way, so it's still a theory. Heck, even the determination experiments being what turned Azrael into Flowey is never explicitly stated by anyone, only strongly hinted at by lines of dialogue in the game, so by this logic, that's still a theory. But narrator Chara has far more evidence than just hints of dialogue, to the point where the narrator even says "it's me, Chara," explicit confirmation. Calling it a theory with all of this in mind is just inaccurate, and the same goes for passive Chara in general. Yes, it may just be a theory, but it's a theory with a huge amount of evidence all throughout the game that wouldn't exist if it didn't mean anything. The game is set up for you to think that Chara is bad and cruel and heartless at first, but if they were truly like that, why would they make sweaters and paintings for their family? Why would they give up their own life for the sake of monsters? Why would they help narrate for you and encourage you not to fight during battles? Why would they help you save Azrael, freeing all monsters? No one is saying that Chara is perfect or blameless. They did bad things, and I'm not here to deny that. I'm just here to say that Chara isn't a bad person. Everyone has the ability to be good, and sometimes they just need a little nudge in the right direction. Not everything in the game has to be explicitly stated for it to be canon, and that's part of what makes the game so fun, finding all the secrets and hidden information. Of course, doing the No Mercy run isn't exactly a good choice, but it does lead into so much more background information on all of the characters, and shows a completely different side of all of them. You'll never learn everything about the game on your first run, and to this day, people are still finding new secrets and connections in it. There are so many hints and secrets about Chara's true personality throughout the game, and it's impossible to brush it off by saying it's just a theory or not canon, because it's there, it's in the game, and it has ties all over the place with a very clear message, that Chara isn't as bad as everyone initially thinks. Sure, we're made to think that they're bad at first, but that's just because we only see one side of them. We just have to look a little deeper and keep our minds open to the idea of mercy, and we'll find so much more about the game and the characters within it. As for some other comments in the last video, many asked about why Chara destroyed the world. Surely no good person would ever do that, but we, the player, kinda destroyed the world first. CHARA says it themselves. We were the ones who drove the world to its extinction and erased everything from existence. When CHARA says that the world is pointless at the end of the game, they mean it's literally pointless. There are no points left to gain from killing because everything is already dead from us. While we might not have killed every single monster personally, there are hints that Flowey could have taken care of the ones in hiding, and as for the humans, we're not even sure if they count as part of the world, considering the game only covers the expanse of the underground, and the only thing CHARA destroys is the game, an empty black void, and we made it like that. In terms of CHARA's actions after the No Mercy run, there's obviously the whole potential murder thing, and yes, if they did in fact murder people after the game, that's bad. They also kill Asgore and Sans. We're not trying to excuse that, but CHARA only does this after you, the player, fill them to the brim with love, take away their compassion, tell them that the purpose of their existence is murder and power, and kill 104 innocent monsters, including their loved ones, all on your own. Anything that CHARA does here is our responsibility. We are the ones who influence them and teach them what is right and wrong. So if they kill, that's still our fault. So while CHARA does bad things, it's still our responsibility. We can't force them to take the consequences for our actions. They are not our scapegoat. Plus, none of the world stuff would have happened if we hadn't kept pushing through the No Mercy run. The game gives us dozens of opportunities to stop and practically begs us to reset and do a pacifist run instead. But we choose to keep going. The fate of the world of Undertale is in our hands, not CHARA's. In relation to this, it may seem like a lot of the ideas of passive CHARA get overshadowed by their one line, "Since when were you the one in control?" which makes it sound like they were the ones pulling the strings from the very start. But honestly, the thing that made me even start to think about the possibility of CHARA being good was this exact line. Think about it. The only way you can achieve a pacifist run is by making the conscious choice to be kind, right? And similarly, the only way you can achieve a No Mercy run is by making the conscious choice to kill. Nothing changes between these runs except you. There is no nagging voice in the back of your mind suddenly beckoning you to kill everyone you see. It's just your curiosity. That's all that drives you to kill. You might not enjoy it, but you have to finish the run for the sake of completion, or for seeing something cool you like in it. CHARA has no part in this. It was always just us. CHARA's line about control is actually just referring to how they slowly gain control over the course of the game, and how ultimately, the fate of the world rests with them. But we can still prevent or cause this to happen. We are the ones who choose what happens to the world, but we have to choose from the start. Our overall message for the passive CHARA idea isn't that CHARA is perfect, blameless, or innocent. They made mistakes, but we have the power to help them grow past that, just as we helped Undyne grow past her desire to kill humans, just as we helped Mettaton grow past his urge to kill them for fame, just as we helped Asgore grow past his actions of killing human children, and just as we helped Flowey grow past his, that. No one in the game is perfect, but all of them can be good if we just help them, even CHARA. And I'm sure people are wondering, why does it matter what people think of CHARA? Why do you care so much about how people perceive them? And the reasons change from person to person, but for Judgment Boy and I, we feel that the idea of CHARA being evil goes against the very nature of the game, a game in which all the villains and enemies you meet turn out to be friends that were just acting in a certain way for certain reasons. So while we're not forcing you to think of CHARA this way, we just want to encourage you to think about it and consider all the canon evidence in the game to come to a better understanding of CHARA. As for some smaller hints and moments in the game, I'm sure some may be wondering about things like CHARA's melty face and jump scare, and their creepy face they do with Azrael and Flowey. And it's quite simple. The melty face and jump scare were a scare tactic to punish us for killing, as discussed more in the previous video, and the creepy face they made with Azrael was because they were a child goofing around to make their brother laugh. Kids do weird stuff. It's not that out of the ordinary. Azrael probably found the face creepy because CHARA's creepy faces are smiles, the ones they use to cope with pain, so it may have felt slightly unnatural due to CHARA's circumstances and Azrael's lack of knowledge on what happened to them. The creepy face they make when approaching Flowey is strongly hinted to be a smile too, since Flowey says, "This isn't funny, and you've got a sixth sense of humor," which leads some to believe CHARA enjoyed the idea of killing Flowey. However, since laughter and smiling is used to cope with pain, it's actually the opposite.
CHARA doesn't want to kill their brother, and they are smiling to cope with the pain of being forced to do it. Some may also claim that CHARA was manipulative or abusive towards Asriel, and while it's true that they did some bad things to him, none of these were defined as abuse. There's no solid proof that CHARA actually manipulated him, and if you look at the dialogue closely, it mostly seems to just be Asriel's own insecurities causing him to be nervous about the plan, but in the end, he still agrees to it on his own terms. If you're wondering why Flowey is killed so viciously at the end of the No Mercy run, we are the ones who press Enter or Z to kill him, so it's our choice. But the slashing may well be CHARA, showing their final act of desperation, emotion, and anger as they succumb to becoming what we made them. Moving on, CHARA only appears physically at the end of a No Mercy run, but this is just because this is the only time they have the necessary power and EXP needed to do so, since they're kind of, dead. Also, even though CHARA calls himself a demon, they don't mean it literally. As I said in the last video, Asriel calls himself the absolute god of hyperdeath, yet everyone still forgives him. CHARA also only says this about themselves when they're filled with love, and maybe an indication of their low self-esteem and role in the game. It is also a reference to traditional RPG protagonists, and how when you call their name, or name them, they will appear and do your bidding. However, CHARA and Frisk are some of the first protagonists to exist outside of your control. They are their own people with their own personalities, but they are bound to you by determination. So hey, treat these kids kindly, okay? As one last note, I know this may feel like some abstract alternative explanation for CHARA's actions at first glance, but there is a lot in the game that feels like that. In a lot of playthroughs I've seen, some people interpret the hints in Toriel's home to think that she's going to kill you at first, but soon realize that she was just trying to protect you. Nothing in Undertale is the way it seems on the surface. There's always something more to each place, each interaction, and each character. If we're also willing to accept that CHARA is evil after just a few little hints in the game, why don't we change our minds like we did for all the other characters when we found out that there was so much more to them? Besides, boring old two-dimensional villain seems a little below Toby's skill set, don't you think? That about covers what we had to say for today, so thank you all so much for watching. Your support means the world to us. Be sure to check out Judgment Boy's other Undertale-related videos, including a lot of comedy skits and some theories. He also does speed draws, so you can see more of his art, and he runs his own webcomic called The Myth of Cinnabar, which you can check out at themythofcinnabar.com. There's even an animated version that you can watch here on YouTube, which is seeking voice actors. If you're interested, hit us up with an email. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Tumblr for updates, and subscribe for more. Have an amazing day, everyone.